Well, hello and welcome to the Breakaway podcast. I'm your host, John Root, sitting next to this guy, Brian Farnsworth. How the heck are ya?
Pleasure to be here, John.
Too long. Oh, I love it. Just manly handshakes, that's it. Don't give me any of those soft handshakes around here. Also, if you're in the handshake line, don't punch an assistant coach, Joanne. But welcome to the Breakaway podcast again. Man, it is the best time of the year. And no, it's not Christmas. March Madness starts tomorrow. I know we had the first few games of the first four. We're going to talk a little March Madness. We're going to talk about our upsets. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened in the selection show yesterday with Charlie Kirk. It was absolute anarchy. It was off the charts. It was weird. It was wild. Heck of a time to have the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA join us. If you haven't checked that out already, make sure you go to our YouTube channel. You can also go to Apple and Spotify. Check it out there. And while you're there, you can subscribe. Maybe leave a review, a 5-star one. We're going to talk about a little NFL and Major League Baseball free agency and so much more. Let's start with March Madness. So yesterday, I know we were talking about on the show with Charlie, that selection show where there was just upsets galore that I was saying Indiana, if they find a way through that first game in the first four, they could potentially make a nice little run. I feel like out of any team in the first four, it's them.
Probably. They're probably the most talented. You know, I was watching the game last night and the first 14 minutes of the game, there was 6 minutes left in the first half, and the score was like 13-11. They could not buy a bucket, Indiana or Wyoming. So awful to watch for that first stretch. But then both teams started settling into a rhythm, became a really, really good game. Indiana ended up winning it out in the end. And that's where, because I'm pretty sure Charlie picked Indiana to upset in round one.
Yeah. Against my wishes, because I have a soft spot for St. Mary's of Moraga. That's pretty close to where, Walnut Creek, California, in Northern California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's where I was born. And then Moraga is just right down the road. It's a tough, small place to play in. They always got a lot of international players. Coach Bennett always does a good job. I really don't see Indiana upsetting them, but if they do, basically who they're going to see would be UCLA or Akron. Most likely going to be UCLA. And
I'd imagine.
I don't know. We see crazy stuff in March Madness.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't understand why you're actively rooting against, punching in the handshake line. This is March Madness. I want all the madness. Give me all the madness. Juwan Howard's back. I just, hope it happens. No, I don't actually. But.
Instead of overtime, we have assistants fighting head coaches.
Just Friday night brawl between.
Let's get ready to rumble. While we have one shining moment, like just dubstep remix. I know we were talking about this before yesterday's show. This is my Christmas. March Madness, there is absolutely nothing like it. I know I was watching some ESPN earlier today, SportsCenter. They were talking about the art of the upset. And I think that's one of my favorite things that they do. It's just like, how does this happen? Like, what 12-5 matchup are we going to see the upset happen? I think a team like New Mexico State, I think we got upset watch there.
Absolutely.
The biggest upset I think I'm going to be calling is Colgate over Wisconsin. It's one of those games where Colgate is the best 3-point shooting team in the entire country, and they can score a lot of points. And I think if somehow, some way, I was talking about it yesterday, they can try to slow the game down, spread it out a little bit, and then get those three balls. They're going to live or die by the three, and if they live, they can take out Wisconsin.
It's not a bad call. My favorite upset potential comes from the same side of the bracket. It's Providence versus South Dakota State. Baylor Skyman, however you pronounce his last name, from South Dakota State, absolute baller. I love when people have the floppy hair and the headband. I'm all about it. But he also reigns from the three. The team as a whole is actually very similar to what you're saying with Colgate. I feel like we have a soft spot for teams that can hit their threes because it's March Madness. How many times over the last few years have we seen a three?
We love guys like that. We love Steph Curry. We love the deep ball in baseball and college basketball.
I wonder
Give it
how
to us.
I wonder how producer Dominic back there feels about Sacramento Kings legend Jimmer Fredette.
Oh my! I know producer Dom back there is saying that he had his jersey. Yikes! But also, you know who has bad jerseys too? This guy. This is a Brett Laurie jersey. Fun fact about that. We're going to talk about how the A's have been absolutely gutted, and so have I in my fandom. But when I worked for the A's for a season, there would always be a massive sale at the end of the year. So they'd have a bunch of leftover authentic jerseys. So this is all stitched. It's all nice. 15 buckaroos,
Because
baby.
you guys can't keep anybody. You have to keep putting your jerseys on clearance.
All right, so this is how we're going to move forward. A couple minor leaguers. We're going to sell these jerseys for $15, and we're going to try to get some international dude.
Oh, man.
But I also got a Billy Butler jersey. Woof.
That's bad.
But tell me who's in your Final Four, because I know yesterday we had a consensus pick. So anybody that tuned into that show yesterday, it was kind of like Charlie, Brian, and I, like, let's try to come together and make these picks together. But I know you kind of got a separate bracket.
Yeah, obviously, I know you have your separate bracket. I have my separate bracket because, our consensus yielded some wild results yesterday.
That was off the chain.
Me, and I could make a couple more adjustments over the next couple days, but I believe I've narrowed it down to my Final Four is going to be Gonzaga, Arizona, Iowa, and UCLA. Mm-hmm. Those are the teams that I believe. UCLA was an 11 seed last year. They, got it all together. They made an absolute run to the Final Four, and they brought back almost every single one of their starters this year. So I think they have a lot of experience. They know what it's like to win in March, and I believe in them. Gonzaga is the runaway favorite. As I was saying to you right before the show started, 27% of ESPN brackets have Gonzaga predicted to win it all. I love Arizona. They're my pick to win it all. And then Iowa is my dark horse. And so that kind of rounds out why I chose those four to be my Final Four predictions.
Yeah, because once again, too, for people that don't know, Gonzaga's never won the big game, ever.
And they're always good.
Do you remember Adam Morrison?
How can I forget? The dude didn't shower. His teammates complained.
I'll never forget when I'll never forget the stash too. I know the producers are saying that back there. That is like almost like my name's Domingo Montoya.
He
You
looked like
killed my
Emilio
father.
Montoya.
Prepare to lose a March Madness game. He was so fun to watch. He's such a goofy guy that just got buckets. And back when eBay was huge, he got a bloody nose. And he threw that away in a trash can. Someone sold that on eBay for like a couple $100.
That's gross.
It's disgusting.
Yes.
But that's where stars are made in March. My Final Four, it would actually be pretty insane to see Virginia Tech come out of the East region. But there's a few people that are saying that. I mean, they just won the ACC tournament, and they beat the brakes off UNC. They beat the brakes off Duke. Duke, I just want to see them lose. That's all I want in this tournament. That's what makes me so happy. But I'm going to go with Kentucky out of the East, Gonzaga out of the West, Arizona out of the South. So West and South, obviously, I got number ones. Number two, Kentucky there out of the East. And then the Midwest, I feel like it's a little bit more of a toss-up for me.
Yeah.
I feel like we got a ragtag group of people. So Iowa's number 5 there. Obviously, Kansas is in the top spot. I don't trust Kansas. I really don't.
Neither do I.
And that's not just because they lost to TCU Horned Frog team or
Go
anything
Frogs.
like that. Go Frogs. Providence, they might get upset in the first round. So it's like you talk about anarchy, that could happen there. But I think for me, what I'm going to end up doing is I feel this is where I'm torn.
I think I know where you're going here, though.
I'm so torn because Auburn, they've never won the big dance either.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think I have to do is,
Don't you do it.
first off, what do you think I'm going to do?
I have this sneaky feeling that you're going to predict either Richmond or Colgate
I guess the basketball.
to make a crazy run.
Say it again. Sorry, the basketball.
The basketball fell off and confused me. I feel like you're about to tell me that Colgate or Richmond, the Spiders, are about to make a crazy run. I know you want to do it.
I know I'm a crazy person. My heart wants to say San Diego State.
Ooh.
Because we got a really good defense there. Also, shout out to producer Dom. Look at that. Shout out to producer Dom. For everybody not watching, producer Dom just rolls in here after we crap on Jimmer Fredette and puts the basketball back on the desk.
Basketball was running away from your picks. That's an omen. Don't trust what John has said. His four, no.
All right, I'm not going to be crazy. I am going to go with Iowa.
Hey, so actually, no, we have three of the four same ones. So not a good look for me.
I'm going to go with that. But another few little fun facts here is the 13th seed, they're 5-7 over the last 3 tournaments. So when you're picking your brackets, also the 16th seed, once again, there's only been one team, UMBC. They beat the brakes out Virginia in the second half of that game after it was tied 20-21 at half. And the 12 seed. You know 8 and 9s are always toss-ups, so go with your heart there. But 12 seeds have defeated a number 5 seed in 31 of 36 tournaments. Last year, Oregon State was the only 12 to win, knocking off Tennessee 56-70. Watch out for Richmond. Watch out for New Mexico State. Have a heck of a time. All right, let's keep this dream alive. Champion. So you're going with Arizona.
I was about to say, oops, I spilled the beans too early on mine. Yes, I'm going to go with Arizona. As we spoke about in our selection show yesterday, I kind of broke it down for Charlie. I said, look, this is year 1 of having Lloyd as their new head coach. They had Sean Miller for 12, 13 years. He was good, but he ended up, getting let go because of all the recruiting violations that came down on him. If you guys remember the DeAndre Ayton scandal and all those, FBI actually investigated it. So they were barred from the tournament last year, and then this is their first year back after the stuff. So naturally, top recruits weren't really wanting to come to Arizona. So what they did was they got creative. And the way Lloyd built this team was he went to the transfer portal and said, hey, talented guys that are other places not getting a lot of playing time, come play for me. Arizona's a great program. And I should say, Tommy Lloyd, he was a longtime assistant with Gonzaga. So
he was there for about 2 decades.
Oh, yeah, long time. Knows that system really, really well. So, like I said, kind of building Gonzaga South. And then he also signed a bunch of international players. So this is a team that it's kind of weird to watch. They play almost a European basketball style in college, which we don't see a lot of that style in American, college hoops.
Also,
so
when someone
people
says European, the first person I think of is Manu Ginobili. And either you love it or you despise it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. Arizona frustrates teams,
no
doubt. And I think that's what's going to happen there in their region. They're going to continue to frustrate teams. And they find a way to win. It was pretty wild. I know I was mentioning it yesterday how Stanford, kept up with them in the Pac-12 tournament. But you can't really fault Arizona for having a tough game against a Pac-12 opponent, where it's just like that's when you're going to have just heated rivalries. Just like sometimes if you're going to like Duke, all I'm going to see them is the lens of that last game against UNC. I would love for you to look at Duke that way, but don't look at Duke like that. You got to look at the whole schedule. You got to look who they're playing, because this is totally different now. They're not just playing people in their conference. They're playing teams that are desperate. They're playing teams that have long histories of trying to make it to the tournament or try to find success in the tournament. You got brand new players. It's a totally open ball game, and I love it. You have a bad game, you're donezo. You might win 99 out of 100 games against some of these teams, but if that one game you don't show up to play,
gone. The one note I want to add for everybody, the only issue I can foresee with Arizona is during the Pac-12 tournament, their starting point guard, Kirk Krisa, he rolled his ankle, and so he missed the end of the Pac-12 tournament. He's expected to be back for March Madness. However, if that ankle does slow him up a little bit, it could affect them, but they continue to, compete at a high level without him on the court, but he is a big part of what they do. So that's the only asterisk on Arizona.
And I think that's another reason why, if we skip over to Baylor, why people aren't going with Baylor.
Yeah.
They lost 4 starters from last year's team, and then potentially Cryer could be out. So,
Yeah.
You just don't know what kind of team you're going to get out of Baylor. But I'm going to go with Arizona as well. I think Arizona's just going to get it done. Would be the first national championship since '97. And
who was on that team?
That's a very, very good question. Who was on that squad? I don't know off the top of my head, but I just don't see what why they
Yeah, I
wouldn't
think
get
it was Bibby.
Mike Bibby? Are we just going to continue to talk about Sacramento Kings legends? Also, too, I will preach it till I die. Some of the best basketball was the early 2000s rivalry between the Kings and the Lakers. There was a
Jason Terry was on that
Jason
team too.
Terry. My goodness.
Had Michael Dickerson, Mike Bibby, Jason Terry. Had some really good players.
Man. And then I think the last thing we'll say here is not only good luck to everybody with your March Madness brackets, because it's probably going to get busted the first day. If you get through the first round, you're insane. You're an incredible person. That's what annoys me so much with March Madness. I know there's a few people in the office and a few ladies that are just like, oh, like, I don't know if I want to join. I don't know how well I'll do. I was like, I almost guarantee you're going to do better than me.
You could flip a coin on every selection, and you might be out somebody who did a lot of research.
Yeah, you could legitimately be like, oh, I think they have like more attractive players on that team, or I like their colors or their logo, and you might do better than us that are just researching this like crazy. But there was a piece of news that came out, and this is just absolute nonsense. So obviously it's going to come from people. On the left, you're constantly going to hear equity. You're going to hear that all the time. Obviously, there's times where politics are in sports. So when you have these leftist lawmakers are basically ripping the NCAA for inadequate progress in the fight for equity between men's and women's sports. And so they have a leftist rep from New York, California, New Jersey, and what they had to say was the NCAA was violating the spirit of gender equity as codified in Title IX. And I know we got this article up right here. That's by Ross Dellinger. I know this is from the Associated Press. And like it's saying here, in this 6-page letter, these House members, they criticized Mark Emmert, who is the president of the NCAA, for failing to implement key recommendations from an external review. Whatever that review was, I guarantee you it wasn't this. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2019, and this ties into the whole March Madness conversation we're having right now. In 2019, men's March Madness, the tournament, had almost $900 million in revenue. Just about $865 million.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's just shy of $1 billion.
With a B.
Women's March Madness, you know how much they made?
I can't even wager a guess. I have no idea.
They didn't make any money. Not only did they not make money, they lost almost $3 million. Oh God! And part of what they're saying here is this whole idea of like there's so many shortcomings when it comes to March Madness specifically. Once again, what happened last year in March Madness was wrong. You had, I think, a player from Oregon was just like, why do we just have one yoga mat and a shake weight here in our gym? That was wrong. We can call out wrongs, but don't pretend that there needs to be some sort of equity between men's and women's March Madness and these sports. It's all about what's going to make you money.
Yeah, and like I'm fine with men's NCAA essentially subsidizing the women's NCAA because I'm fine with these women getting a chance, getting an opportunity because a lot of them are phenomenal competitors.
Of course.
I've told you this in the past. I love gambling on women's college basketball because the women are machines. They do not let up. They will get up by 40 points and they will keep their starters in and just put their foot on the throat of their competition. It's fantastic. And so like, look, yeah, they don't make money on their tournament. I'm fine with the men's NCAA subsidizing it, but don't give us this bull crap of they need to be given basically the same amount of funding. That's just crazy talk. You have to be a leftist to be that dumb.
Exactly. And I feel like that's just telling of where this is coming from. You got people on the left that are just shouting for equity, and they're trying to dumb everything down to race, gender, sexuality for this idea of this oasis of equality. Sure, there could be aspects of, just like with the NBA, they are subsidizing the WNBA. And obviously that's why you're seeing a lot more players that are saying like, hey, you guys should check out some of these games, buy some of this merch. I'm going to hang out with some of these WNBA players, do some content, blah, blah, blah. I love that support. But don't pretend like this is some sort of underlying, male empowerment thing that they're just oppressing women, and it doesn't stand up for anything. The last thing I'll say about that is, dude, the NCAA basically didn't pay players for like a century, while they made almost $1 billion on things like March Madness, and you got bowl games and all of college football, how much they make. You think they're going to start giving money to women like that? Like, use common sense. Come on. This is just crazy talk. So I hope that just goes nowhere. In general, fix up women's March Madness when it comes to the gym area and support what you want to support. But in general, people will show their support with their dollars. And their dollars are not going to women's March Madness. They are going to predominant male sports, which is college football and college basketball. And that is the main revenue driver for the NCAA. And they're not going to listen to this nonsense because it's about what do our sponsors want to sponsor and how are we going to make money. And what is the best product? It is those two sports, and they are men's sports.
I really haven't done any research on this, so I might be just spitting in the wind here. But when it comes to college athletes now making money off NIL laws, I'm pretty certain that Livy Dunn, however you say her last name, the gymnast from LSU, and the Cavender twins, who are the basketball players, went to my high school, Gilbert High School, go Tigers. Cavender twins who now play for Fresno State. I'm pretty sure they make the most money from sponsorships after the NIL laws changed. So it's like, why aren't we demanding equity that these men and women athletes have to get paid the same amount in NIL? Because it's just insane to even say that sentence. Like, come on, guys.
And it's the same thing too. It's just like you have people like Paige Becker from UConn, incredible athlete. Like she could turn into being one of the best women's basketball players we've ever seen. She inked a deal with Gatorade, and she's making her money too. So I feel like a lot of these athletes, they have a chance to make money individually, and stop like having this whole like paint with a broad brush that we need to just give all this money here. It's just like what the U.S. women's national team was doing. It's like, who put the original deal together? You women. Come on. It's the same thing for people when they're just like, I just want my college paid for. You know who signed on the dotted line for that loan and was an adult? You. Own up to that kind of stuff. All right. Tom Brady's back, baby.
Oh, like he never left.
I hate it. I am so pissed. I am so mad. Why do you got to play with our emotions like that, Tom?
Let's go.
Unbelievable. Tom, oh. Gosh, that's how I felt. I was just yelling and screaming. I'm coming back for my 23rd season in Tampa. We have unfinished business. Can you just go to another team or something? This could have been like the one random year where the NFC South was absolute hot garbage, but you know who was the best of the worst? The Falcons. That was a great chance for us to do that.
But, you might have to you had a couple weeks where you felt like you might be the best, but the NFC South, they were really going hard after Deshaun Watson. I mean, I might be jumping the bullet here, but like those are it's now the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints. They're trying to keep up with Tom Brady and the Bucs. They are all interested in acquiring Deshaun Watson because I think for exactly what you're saying, they understood that the division was wide open. So they're like, let's go win it.
And Tom Brady, he screwed over the Falcons more than any team in that division. No doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, they're in just an absolute debacle when it comes to cap space. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the Panthers, like you're saying, they got Sam Darnold. Where's he going to take you? Nowhere. You brought Cam Newton back. He threw a touchdown and ran for a touchdown. And then what happened after that? Boom.
The Cardinals.
You got Taysom Hill, who is
$144 million quarterback Taysom Hill.
Dude, what was that game where it was the Saints against was that the Texans last year or something?
Well, it was against the Falcons that he threw 4 interceptions.
But I'm talking about the game where there's basically like in the first quarter, I think there was like negative passing yards combined.
That sounds like the Texans.
I would need the team to do some research on that back there, but that just sprang to my mind. But with Tom Brady coming back, there was a part of us that was saying, how in the world can you say, oh, I want to play till I'm about 45, and, I feel like I got so much left in me, and you won a Super Bowl in your first season, and then you just lost to the team that eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. How do you leave like that? So he was only gone for 2 months, and there's a great article from The Ringer, and what they ended up saying was it was 40 days and 40 nights, and then Tom Brady returned. He is the football Moses.
Can I put my tinfoil cap on for a second?
All right, I'll put mine on too.
Okay.
There we go.
This is what I'm going to jump into. So maybe Tom really was considering retirement. I don't know. I'm literally just creating this out of nothing.
Okay.
I have no research backing this up. However, maybe Tom wanted to kind of fake the retirement and see what moves it caught, because Tom Brady is one of the very few players in the NFL who moves the needle, who, when based off of what he decides to do, it changes divisions, it changes conferences, it changes Super Bowls. Maybe he was just like, hey, if I act like I'm retiring, it's going to cause a lot of teams across the league to make decisions. And look, this is probably more to do with the AFC West, but the Broncos traded for Russell Wilson. There's this, I'm sure there's this kind of thinking of like, hey, if we can get through Patrick Mahomes, the NFC sucks now that Tom Brady's gone. It makes it weaker by bringing over Russell Wilson from the NFC over to the AFC. I don't know. I'm kind of putting on the cap and just going, maybe Tom Brady kind of just wanted to play with the NFL, see what happens when I retire. What do other general managers do?
He loves just toying with our hearts.
Absolutely.
That's all he loves doing. But I think probably the main reason, I'll put my tinfoil hat on, which isn't really much of a tinfoil hat. I think Tom Brady, spent some time home with the kids. Maybe he's like, this is a little too much. But also, I might be taking the G-Wagon and getting some premium gasoline, checking the gas prices, and then being like, I'm back.
Hey, inflation hits everybody.
He's probably like, man, I took all those team-friendly deals just for this. But obviously, you're going to see great content like this from me. So, honestly, shameless plug. Might as well just give me a follow, right? At JohnnyRoot _. No H in there. Get the H out of here. Great stuff like that. I know we got some really good responses there. But that's what Tom Brady loves doing. He loves, especially me. I feel like this is almost a personal attack. I don't think Tom Brady knows who the heck I am, but he's got to have something in the back of his mind where it's like, this John Root guy, I'm going to go down large in the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl. Then I'm going to rip his heart out.
One day he'll know who you are.
And then I'm going to leave the Patriots for the first time. And you know what division I'm going to join? The Falcons division. And you know what I'm saying? I'm going to leave the Falcons division and maybe give them a chance to be the best of the worst and try to get a division title for the first time in way too long. I'm going to come back. Tom, I love you, but I absolutely hate you. Welcome back.
R.I.P. John and his hopes of Falcons ever winning the Super Bowl. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Do we have a therapist here?
I don't think we have a staff therapist. We're not a...
I'll talk to HR after this.
Yeah, do you need to go to your safe space?
I might need to go to my safe space.
Do we need Dr. Snowflake to check in on you? I'm just kidding.
One place that people shouldn't be when Deshaun Watson's around is a massage parlor. Let's talk about it.
Now, no criminal charge. He has not been convicted criminally of anything. I don't know. I don't know what any of it means. I think there's a good likelihood he is a scummy person. However, I do believe in the rule of law and that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I know I've spent quite a bit of time. I feel like mostly my anger has been with the NFL.
Yeah.
Than Deshaun Watson, because I think people, I'm with you. Innocent until proven guilty. There has been a part of me that's just like 22.
It's a lot.
22. This isn't just like a handful of people that have said, I didn't really like this encounter. There might have been something said, or, they're talking about, like, basically at some of these massage parlors, not just only sexual advancements, but like oral sex. Things like that. Like, those are big accusations. And to get 22 allegations,
a lot.
that is a lot. So I'm angry at the NFL because the Washington football team, nothing came out of that other than John Gruden's emails. Nothing happened to Dan Snyder. They sat on their hands there. Then now there's a new investigation there headed by Dan Snyder. And then now you have Deshaun Watson. This has been over a year. Like, why does this take so long? And also, NFL, why is domestic abuse and domestic assault low in your priority list? I don't understand this, how it's an absolute epidemic in the NFL, and they haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
It's every single season. And then now what they want you to think is, all right, well, how valuable is Deshaun Watson to these other teams? Like, it's almost like, all right, well, this is a lot of allegations. There's no criminal charges, and then there's some civil suits there too. And like, we're just going to sweep this under the rug. We're not going to be that transparent. I think we need transparency with a situation like this. And this could potentially be the time for the NFL to show that we don't just care about social justice. We don't care about ending racism. You should probably care about ending domestic assault and domestic violence. Because you know who are the big perpetrators of that? Your players. I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson is guilty.
Yeah.
We're still there to like innocent until proven guilty. But their priorities are out of whack. If Calvin Ridley can put a stupid A parlay while he's taking a break for mental health away from the Falcons and be out the rest of the season, be suspended by the NFL actually taking action here. This isn't just they never suspended Deshaun Watson here. There was never anything from the NFL saying he was out.
I think they might be waiting for the see where the chips fall. I actually do expect a Deshaun Watson suspension eventually to come. I don't think it will be more than 10 games. I expect it to be probably around 6. That's my initial expectation. But as of recording this, right now, Deshaun has not been moved. John, do you want to pitch to this?
Yeah, so this is something I put on my Instagram as well. I guess I'm giving myself a ton of love. So for everybody that's watching, and I think right after I read this, we'll go to the next slide. What I said is the fact that NFL players can beat up women and be suspended for less games than someone who bet on games they weren't involved in, I think is wildly absurd.
It's crazy.
And then this is what I showed in the next slide here on this Instagram post was – you got, obviously, Roger Goodell about, okay, how are you going to handle this situation? And there was a great breakdown. There was a good tweet, showing people like, Ray Rice and others. So it's right here. So this is from Nick Looney, 901. Here's some of those major NFL suspensions. Ray Rice, like I said, beating fiance 2 games. Adrian Peterson, felony child abuse, 6 games. And that's when, he took out that switch. I think that might have been blown out of proportion a little bit from what I saw. Greg Hardy, who got beat up more in the octagon than he was beating up women, which is
Did you see the
big
pictures
feat.
of his girlfriend afterwards, though?
It's disgusting.
Gnarly.
It's disgusting.
Like, the bruises were insane.
It's disgusting. I don't mean to make light of that with that joke there in the octagon. But beating his girlfriend 10 games, reduced to 4. And then here we go on. Ezekiel Elliott hitting women 6 games.
That one was BS, though, because the judge ruled that basically the rule of law said Ezekiel Elliott is not guilty of this, and they still suspended him 6 games. That one gets my blood boiling because the NFL decided doesn't matter what the courts say, we're just going to suspend you anyways because we're trying to protect our image.
Yeah. And then Calvin Ridley, obviously, like I said, 17 games, full season for using FanDuel. And then Josh Gordon, 6 seasons for smoking a dankety dank. But basically, my big thing here is the NFL needs to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's just one of many things that they have taken very lightly. And that's why here, if you're going to virtue signal NFL about social justice, all this other crap, that there's like racism that's just absolutely ingrained in not only NFL, but our entire country, there's a problem with domestic abuse, and you guys have the ability to solve it. Crucial catch. That's huge when it comes to their initiatives with cancer.
Yeah.
And I think they do a great job there. Maybe you guys should have some sort of initiative that holds these guys accountable, because if you want these guys to be leaders of men on their football team, they can be a leader of the next generation of men that are growing up that not only want to be like these players on the field, but want to be like them off. NFL, starts with you.
But, as of right now, it's 10:49 Arizona time, so Pacific time. Deshaun Watson has not been moved. And there's a lot of people thinking that it will happen today, could be in the next few days. The most interesting thing, though, so Deshaun Watson, it's reported that he is meeting with the Saints, the Panthers, and the Browns. Like I said, there's other teams, Falcons, that are rumored to be involved. However, Diana Russini, phenomenal NFL reporter, probably my favorite one. She tweeted out, the first step for the Saints, Panthers, and Browns in arranging a meeting with quarterback Deshaun Watson was presenting a trade package to the Texans, per multiple league sources. Once Houston approved, only then did they meet. That means the Texans have already agreed to whatever trade package the Saints, Panthers, and Browns have presented, and they're just saying, hey, Deshaun gets to choose where he goes. That's really interesting. That means the Texans are like gone on Deshaun. It probably is 3 first-round picks from every single one of these teams, and I would bet a player or two as well to kind of help with the salary situation. But this is going to be one of the most interesting trades we have ever seen, because we have never seen a quarterback at this age and his caliber get moved right in the prime of his career.
Yeah, he's only 27. I think, right?
Yeah, I think he's 26 right now, 27 when the new league starts, or maybe he's already 27. But so this is going to be crazy, and it's really interesting. The Saints, the fact that they are getting involved with this, with their cap situation, general manager Mickey Loomis put him in the Hall of Fame. That guy, Deshaun makes a ton of freaking money. Panthers, even with Deshaun, that team's all right. I don't really love Coach Rule, but Browns are kind of one of the more interesting ones, because essentially that means this is it for Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. And did you see what he posted last night?
Yeah, and then before we get to Baker, I do want to mention the Falcons side of things, because obviously I'm a Falcons homer and I need to talk about my Falcons. I think they are just doing this just to try to push the Panthers and the Saints into something that's
bidding
a little
war.
That's the reason, I think, because obviously you're going to get the storylines of Deshaun Watson used to be a Falcons ball boy. I know you were looking up some of that stuff yesterday when we were talking before the March Madness selection show. And he's got some connections to that hometown. I mean, but the Falcons haven't restructured Matt Ryan's contract at all. And also, Matt Ryan is a very, very capable quarterback. He's a former MVP, should have been a Super Bowl champion, should have been a Super Bowl MVP. A lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, no doubt. But Matt Ryan is still, I don't know if you'd call him elite, but he is still a solid quarterback.
He's good.
In my opinion. But if you end up taking on Deshaun Watson and you try to maybe push Matt Ryan over to the Texans, you're still eating about $40 million. That's a lot. So, and then also too, you're going to give up picks. So, and it seems weird. Like Arthur Blank hasn't really been the guy, the owner of the Falcons, to say like, all right, we need to do all this like win now stuff, and it's going to screw us over in the future. I just don't see the Falcons doing it, because you're going to give up way too many assets. We need to bolster the offensive line. We just signed Younghoe Koo for 5 years. Love that guy. Also, by the way, speaking of kickers, Harrison Butker is going to be on the show.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday. Butt kicker himself from the Kansas City Chiefs. Great guy. It's an awesome episode, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that at all. We're also going to be posting a bunch of clips on the Breakaway YouTube channel, so actually that's up there. So another shameless plug. Look, you're getting a lot of John Root IG today. So there's Harrison Butker himself. It is an explosive episode. Some of the stuff that Harrison has to say is unbelievably courageous. It's funny. He's a man of faith too. He's a good dude, and he could go down as one of the best kickers we've ever seen in the NFL. So we got that. The Falcons, I just don't see them doing it. Even though it sounds like right now I'm looking at some tweets. There's a retweet from Adam Schefter saying that the Falcons haven't processed Matt Ryan's restructured contract, but they're expecting to meet Deshaun Watson today, who actually reached out to the Falcons personally. So I don't know if that's just a bunch of
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors, fake news. I don't know. But Baker Mayfield, I think it was telling for him to say, like, I don't have all sort of ulterior motive to this. Yeah. I just say, Cleveland, I love you. I've given you my all. Is there something he knows that we don't? Most likely.
That's what a lot of reporters were saying last night. Basically, what it seems like is Baker has been told he's a lame duck quarterback, meaning your time is not long for here. Baker is, like I said, none of this is confirmed, but the expectation is Baker has been told that he will no longer be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Something is going to happen. Whether they get Deshaun Watson or not, the Browns will be moving on. And so last night he posted on Instagram across all the platforms, basically a thank you letter to Cleveland and the city of Cleveland and the fans of Cleveland. Basically just saying, hey, like, yeah, I don't know what's next. Obviously, talks about his faith a little bit, and just saying, hey, I'm here for the process. Love the city. Loved playing for you guys. Look, I think Baker's gotten raw end of the deal here. Baker came to the laughingstock of the NFL, and over his time, not solely responsible to himself, but under his time as quarterback, they have now become playoff contenders and are a much more respected organization. There's a lot of problems still in Cleveland, but I think Baker is not the source of the problems. I think he is a cause of the problems. He shredded his shoulder and played through the injury. OBJ hated being there, and he and his dad demanded a release. Well, it's kind of because of Baker. It's still a weird situation to me. I think Baker still has a lot left in the tank. I kind of see it as maybe a Ryan Tannehill situation where he can go to another team and get used more properly to his skill set.
And that's what I think is so wild right now, too, is like, obviously we're going to talk a little MLB free agency, too, but in the NFL, it's been all about quarterbacks. That's it. Oh, yeah. That's all you're hearing. Like, obviously it's a quarterback league. You hear a ton about Aaron Rodgers, who's the back-to-back MVP, and, he restructured his deal a little bit. It sounds like, I don't know, there hasn't been, I don't think I've seen any official numbers, right? Because what came out initially was this is record breaking. No one's been paid this much in the NFL. And then Rodgers came out and said, no, that's not the case.
I think what I saw, which seems to be the most accurate number so far, is it's a 3-year, $186 million extension. But it's weird because it goes off of also including this year's deal. It's a restructure mixed with an extension to lower the cap hit for this year, so that they can basically go all in. It's weird. The numbers, until we finally see the numbers, we won't know anything because it's just weird.
I think what they should do first and foremost for the Packers is get a new special teams coordinator. I think that would be great. But like you said, Russell Wilson is going somewhere else. There's a lot of teams that are looking to free agency instead of looking to the draft, because this could be one of the weakest drafts we've seen in a very, very long time.
It's awful
when it comes to quarterbacks. I think Pickett could be like okay. I'm interested. I'm probably the most interested in him. More than any quarterback in the field.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was Heisman Trophy finalist, but in general, it's a weak draft, and they're trying to make do with what they got. But with teams here with Deshaun Watson, you could sign this guy, and then some of these civil suits could come out, and the NFL could suspend him for a whole season, and then you got to make do with what you got. But like, it's all about like, are you going to play the long game? Is this worth it?
Which, if Deshaun plays till he's 34. It's just worth it. The guy is, when he's on the field, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. People kind of forget how good he is.
He is incredible. I've had him on some fantasy squads, and I'm like, man, that's when 2 years ago, I won a fantasy football championship with a bunch of my college buddies. Guess who was my quarterback? Deshaun Watson.
A really sad fact, though, is if the Browns end up trading for him, the year that Deshaun got drafted, the spot he was drafted with was originally the Browns' pick. They traded it to the Texans. They traded out of that spot and let the Texans move up and pick Deshaun Watson when they didn't have a quarterback. So it's just like, if now they go and spend 3 first-round draft picks and maybe even a couple young players or something, I don't know what the deal is going to be. But to go get Deshaun now, holy crap. Like, that is just such a misallocation of resources.
Yeah, one quarterback you definitely shouldn't sign, though, is Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick's back in the news, of course. The guy that's called the NFL racist, the guy that says the NFL Combine is like the slave trade. If the NFL's so racist, why do you want back in so much? Also, to Colin Kaepernick, listen up here. If you're ever tuning into the Breakaway podcast or someone decides to send this to you, listen up right here, right now. You had plenty of opportunities. Remember the last time you had multiple teams show up to to that field. You were setting up a nice little workout to get back in the NFL a couple years ago, and then you switch venues last minute. You're not a press dude. And also, I know he worked out with Tyler Lockett.
And the Seahawks need a quarterback.
I will tell you this. Look at this right here. We're showing there's a few clips that Colin Kaepernick posted to his Twitter account.
His release looks slow. Look at that. That's slow. And also,
looks like he's short arming it again. He always kind of had like a short arm release too. Obviously, I'm not Trent Dilfer. I'm not a quarterback's coach.
Watch on this one. No, it's the next one. Whichever next one goes deep. Okay, so not this one.
Maybe this one.
Receiver has to slow up. Okay, it's there. It's this one. The receiver has to slow up to catch this ball. Like, I'm sorry, but no, anybody can throw to a wide open receiver on a practice field. I could do that. Now I can't throw it, 40 yards, but I could hit somebody who's wide open, who's just running out there. It means nothing to me. Nothing. That's why I pray somebody signs Colin Kaepernick. I hope it's the Seattle Seahawks so that the Cardinals can go in, murder him twice on the field. And I mean that hypothetically, metaphorically.
New article. White host of a sports podcast at Turning Point USA says he wants Colin Kaepernick killed on the field by points on the scoreboard. Come on.
He would throw a ton of interceptions.
I will say, though, Colin Kaepernick, really, really smart, though. Because if you look at that video, you can't throw interceptions if there's no defenders.
Big brain.
That's the only smart thing I've ever seen him do. But you got people like Stephen A. Smith that are saying he should have been signed years ago. You got people like Adam Schefter. I feel like sometimes he does a really good job of, I'm going to share this news.
Yeah.
But like, is this coming from Adam Schefter? Like, is this kind of a little bit of what I think about this situation, or am I just sharing this? It's a bunch of the woke media, for some reason, have made an idol out of Colin Kaepernick, but all he's done is make millions of dollars on being a race baiter and dividing us. He has not made the NFL better. He has not made the black community better. He has not made race relations better. And this guy here, I hope, no matter where you're at in the conversation of kneeling and what originally his plan was or what he wanted to do, you can admit that this guy was not a good quarterback when he left the NFL. Blaine Gabbert took over his job, and what he's saying is patently untrue. You have to admit that. What he says about the NFL Combine, what he says about our police, what he says about a lot of aspects of our judicial system, a lot of it's lies.
Yeah.
And the guy, nobody that's making millions of dollars off this, which basically BLM Inc., has made millions of dollars off corporations and bamboozling people to give them their hard-earned money that they could probably use for gas right now, was used for them to get million-dollar homes. These people are out here to just pretend like this is the worst place on earth. This is why we have a show like Breakaway. We have our faults in America, but there is no doubt we are the freest, most prosperous place in the history of the entire world. There's a lot of stuff that needs fixing here. But if you're going to try to come up with some sort of racial epitaphs every other couple weeks, that's on you. That's not on America. All right, we're going to...
Well, the only other thing I want to say about that, it just kind of annoys me that he was doing this workout in our backyard in Scottsdale, Arizona, because it's like, why aren't you in California? Why aren't you up in Washington? Oh, wait, you want to be in somewhere that a freer state in Arizona? Goodness gracious.
And then I know we're going to start wrapping things up. I know I want to talk Kyrie for a second. And then before we get to that, though, the MLB lockout is over. There was a few little rule changes that they made. Luckily, it sounds like the ghost runner, so runner on second base, is not going to be happening in extra innings anymore. You're going to get a full 162-game season. Spring training's coming to town, baby. I'm so excited. That's why I'm rocking my A's jersey here. But, man, there is going to be some teams that are wildly different. Like the Oakland A's just got rid of Matt Olson, one of the best first basemen in the entire league, and he went to the Atlanta Braves. I think the A's got a nice little haul. I think that means that Freddie Freeman is out of Atlanta. I think that is a slap.
Crazy.
That's a slap in the face to a guy that just won a World Series with you. And then Matt Chapman, he has struggled mightily from the plate, but he is the best defensive third baseman. Maybe the game's seen in the last decade. Nolan Arenado is up there too. Yeah. I think they go side by side. Matt Chapman's incredible, but he's been an all-star. But Matt Chapman is gone. Chris Bassett's gone from the A's. I know it's not all about the A's, but the Mets, their starting rotation looks really good adding Chris Bassett.
Yes.
They are solid, but an interesting part about that is if you're unvaccinated and you're on the Mets or you're on the Yankees, you are not allowed to play at home. So it's exactly like the Kyrie Irving situation. And you know what I loved about this whole nonsense coming out of New York? You're having people like Trevor Noah, that is a crazy person when it comes to leftist policies. Obviously, believe what you want to believe, but the truth is there's been a lot of nonsense in places like New York City. And telling people that they have to get something in their body, a medical procedure, and if you don't get this, that we can't tell you exactly what's in it or how your body's going to respond to it, because it's not just black and white. It's going to work the same for everybody. You can't make your own choice, and if you don't do this, you'll lose your job. Now they're saying indoor vaccine mandates gone, indoor mask mandates gone. So if you're unvaccinated, you can go to a Yankees or Mets game and watch. If you are unvaccinated and you want to go see the Brooklyn Nets play or the New York Knicks, you can do that. But if you're a player and you're unvaccinated, you can't play on the court, but you can sit right by that court. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not supposed to make sense.
Well, didn't Kyrie get fined $50K for going back into the locker room?
Yeah, so he went into the locker room. So gosh, it's insane what's happening here. And then obviously you got Mayor Eric Adams that are saying, Kyrie, you can play, but you still got to get vaccinated. It doesn't make any sense, and there's a lot of people that are calling this out that don't normally side with maybe our politics at times or aspects of culture. But I think you have players that can make a difference. I don't know who's unvaccinated on the Mets or the Yankees.
No idea.
I have no clue. But I think Kyrie is the guy that can make a difference. And plus, dude, he just set the scoring record for the Brooklyn Nets. Could you imagine where the Nets would be if Kyrie Irving was playing the entire season?
I mean, they'd probably be leading the East, or at the very least top two.
Exactly. And then I think for the first time ever, you had a duo in the NBA that went off for 50-plus points in consecutive games. So Kyrie went off for just about 60. KD went off for 50. We haven't seen stuff like this, and it just patently does not make sense whatsoever.
No, and I want to highlight what John's kind of alluding to. The last week, and honestly, it's the entire month of March, because you could go back 2 weeks. This last week, we are seeing just like this crazy scoring run that I'm not used to. I don't think any of us are used to in the NBA. Just in the last week, Karl Anthony Towns dropped 60. Kyrie Irving dropped 60. LeBron dropped 50. Kevin Durant dropped 53. Trae Young has dropped 46 and 47 in the last week, and Giannis dropped 43. We are seeing just crazy scoring right now. Like, our defense is struggling. Like, what's going on here? Like, I have no idea why all of a sudden these players are just turning it on and just setting personal highs, franchise highs. It's nutty, but I'm loving it.
And then also too, it's like when Kyrie, I think he had 41 points in the first half. Mm-hmm. He was almost on Kobe watch, and
they pulled him out with 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where you got the hot hands. Just keep rolling, because KD is the best scorer. He might go down as the best scorer we've ever seen in the NBA. They're most talented scorer, and I know that's definitely up for debate. But I know
I used to think it was Larry Bird. I really did.
Larry Bird was unbelievable. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
Too. I don't think he gets enough love just because he looks like I think mostly because he looks like a goofy white boy. He looks like the kind of guy. He does look like a Muppet. I know it's what our producers are saying back there, but he's the guy you'd roll up to the gym and be like, "All right, Dad, like, we'll slow it down a little bit for you. Like, are you sure you want to play full court? And he goes out and he just got buckets. But I know people like Skip Bayless were trying to say Kyrie Irving, maybe inch for inch, the greatest scorer we've ever seen. Skip Bayless just says stuff just to get people riled up and get the comments going. And
are you about to get into this story?
He's a genius. He's a genius at that kind of stuff. And he's good God.
Tell the people about this. This is the weirdest story in sports right now. Honestly, we could have led with this. Hit him with it.
Get this. Charles Barkley, one of the worst golf swings we've ever seen in the world. We might ever see. Odd guy. Funny guy. Huge part of NBA on TNT. NBA legend. Part of the NBA 75 team. One thing I wouldn't be worried about is Charles Barkley killing Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless had this. Oh, good God. I can't even say. I can't understand some of the stuff that happens in our world. But he was saying on his show that his wife was terrified for her husband's life, thinking that Charles Barkley would kill him, saying that she loses sleep over this kind of stuff. The only thing I think Charles Barkley could kill right now is a plate of nachos. All right? So I think Mrs. Bayless, I think you should
They look like brother and sister. That's weird.
Oh God,
they look too much like each other.
Maybe are they the Lannisters? Are they the Lannisters of sports media? Maybe he's the Jamie Lannister.
Well, it's just I feel like this happens all the time with couples that like people who look like they could be siblings end up dating and getting married. It's weird, but it happens all the time. But yeah, no, I mean, what kind of like I've always thought Skip Bayless was like eccentric and like I kind of thought it was just kind of a shtick, like his character. How do you honestly get on your show and go off on how my wife thinks Charles Barkley is going to get me killed?
And he read like a full letter about it too.
Yeah, it wasn't short.
No, it was really, really odd, the whole situation. And that's why I think people like Skip Bayless, like I said before, what he said about Kyrie Irving being like, inch for inch, maybe the greatest scorer we've ever seen or will ever see in the NBA. He says stuff that is supposed to rile you up.
Yeah.
But it's different than a Stephen A. That's why I liked Skip and Stephen A together, because Stephen A, I think he says they both have bits and pieces where Skip Bayless does not believe some of the stuff he says.
There's no way.
But there's little quarter truths or half truths in there that he can go back on a little bit. But a little things that are going to rally you up. And then I think Stephen A now has just gone so far to this other side of the political spectrum that he is literally out there to yell in your face and get you riled up.
Yeah.
That there's not a lot of truth to it. And then Skip Bayless, that's why Skip Bayless, I think, is an absolute genius at his show.
I mean, look, how often do we talk about Skip Bayless? Almost never. And now we're talking about him twice in one show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's him and Shannon Sharp are classic. But we're gonna wrap up here, and just real quickly is Naomi Osaka. So she is one of the most talented young women's tennis players in the entire world. She's been ranked number 1 at one point, and I know that she actually just left the tournament because she lost, but she was getting heckled during this tournament.
Yeah,
and she got beat up pretty bad by her opponent. But what she ended up doing is taking the mic after the match and doing this whole thing about trying to compare it to what happened to Venus and Serena, which was basically racism to them. And I think all this person was doing, it's like, you get a lot of hecklers. You're seeing probably a ton of people watching now or listening. You see the videos of LeBron talking to hecklers in the stands. LeBron's even pulled people out of the arena for things that he said he didn't like. And then you got Russell Westbrook going back and forth. You've seen some Kyrie Irving stuff. But Naomi Osaka is someone that, and I want to say this as lightly as possible, but also provide the truth. In sports,
I don't think we need to say it
like,
lightly.
she's
She's being a brat. She's being a selfish, entitled person who literally. I'm starting to not. I can't stand her because if you don't want to be in professional sports, if you don't want to get heckled, retire. Go do something else.
Because that's where
Be
I'm
an
with you on that.
activist.
The only reason I say take it lightly is that I feel like she was so emotionally unstable that there's been plenty of triggers that have gone off that someone could tell her the truth, but maybe not tell her the truth in love or some sort of here's how we try to fix it with you without. Because I think what people are doing right now is they're giving her empathy, but they're also supporting her that, like, yes, we'll give you a mic and we'll give you this platform. Like, stop providing her a platform because it's hurting her. If you say something, she could potentially go off, really, really go off the deep end. I hope she wouldn't get to a point where she gets so depressed.
Hopefully not.
But I think sports is not the thing for her right now.
No,
she needs to step away. And if you can't handle heckling, that's a part of sports. Obviously, tennis is a little bit and golf a little bit different than some of these other sports we brought up. But do not try to make this into they're probably heckling me because I'm black, or they're probably heckling me because I'm a woman. Every athlete gets heckled. No one's out here saying that people should be attacking you personally or your family, but you're going to get heckled. And if you can't handle that, stop giving her a microphone and allowing her to process this right after she had a match. It's a weird situation for everyone. If she needs to process this, get her a therapist, get her out of sports, and really take a solid time away.
Look, we do not treat Naomi Osaka and Ben Simmons the same. And I think Ben Simmons is being treated probably how closer to how he should. If he doesn't want to play, don't play. Get out of there. But yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
I have very little patience.
Yeah,
for this.
I have very little patience for that too. But still, I think there's aspects of wish her the best. I hope that there's
it was one fan.
It's just like and that's it. Like, wish her the best in the sense of there's got to be someone that comes in her corner and be like, hey, this is a part of sports. Let's figure out a way to get through it.
Yeah.
And instead of just making a whole spectacle out of this. So, and then also too, there's a little bit of tennis news that Novak Djokovic is going to be able to play in the French Open.
Oh, good.
So they changed the rules a little bit. It's been good. But, hey, we got to get the heck out of here. March Madness starts tomorrow. I know we got a few games in the first four that are going to be today as well. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed to this podcast, what in the world are you doing? Subscribe to us on Apple. And then we're on Spotify as well, and then we're on YouTube, obviously. We always appreciate you guys tuning in here live, but anybody that just checks out the show a little bit later. Harrison Bucker episode is coming out on Sunday. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified for that. And then also, too, for today on TPUSA Live, third hour of TPUSA Live, we are going to show that selection show, March Madness, featuring Charlie Kirk. And then also tomorrow, we have that episode, that Sunday conversation with Lily Stanley, talking about how she basically just got booted from her track team at Grand Canyon University because she was just asking questions about the vaccine, asking questions about mask mandates, asking questions about all these COVID policies. And she basically was being attacked online and in person, stuff that she got her tires slashed and stuff. It's an insane story. But appreciate you guys so much. Go NFL, go NBA, go sports, go America. Love y'all. Peace.
Win. Touchdown.